Right, so welcome back everybody to Against All Odds. And oh my god, what an episode today!
Against All Odds?
Yeah, named after Ben.
Wow, I love it.
So my guest today is somebody that is probably, I will say, is responsible for where I am now in my life. It's 2 times Master Coach of the Year, author, guest speaker, obviously here, speaker on stage, just gone worldwide coach, Mr. Paul Mort.
Thank you so much. How did you know about the Master Coach of the Year thing? I tried not to mention that.
How are you?
I'm very well. I'm buzzing to be on. I'm excited to be on. I'm excited to talk about myself for a little while. And I love the name Against All Odds because that's. I got a face. Take a look at me now.
Yeah, I didn't realise that. Yeah, Phil Collins.
I thought Mariah Carey first. Did she sing that as well?
I don't know. Somebody said Phil Collins to me the other day.
I think you did sing that, but I think Mariah had a blast. She probably ruined it anyway, to be fair. Yes, thank you for having me, Amy. I'm very excited.
Oh, thank you for coming.
Hey, and by the way, before we get started, can I just tell you how proud I am of you?
Oh, don't, because you'll start me off crying.
I'm just telling you how proud I am of you, because what people tend to say is they're like, oh, Paul, you helped me do this, you changed my life. I didn't do that. You did the work, not me. I just shouted at you, called you a pussy a few times.
Yeah, made me grit my teeth.
Gave you the tools, made you get on with it. Yeah, so
made me swear a few times
there
as
you
well.
Go. There you go.
4 years you've had to put up with me, mate.
It's been a pleasure and an honour.
You. So today I wanted to talk about exactly what you do for people. And a lot of people will have seen the Cliff video on YouTube because, if you haven't seen it, where have you been? Where have you been?
There's a guy commented yesterday on that video that said, I'm sick of seeing this fucking video or something. I'm like, just say fucking, mate. Yeah. I'm sick of seeing this video. I'm like, well, stop watching it then.
What year was that made?
2000 I made it in 2016.
Right, okay.
But then I didn't have the courage to put it out there until 2018.
Right, okay. Yeah. So was you diagnosed with bipolar at that point?
I was diagnosed bipolar. I was diagnosed ADHD in 2012.
Right, okay.
That diagnosis actually quickly got forgotten because I struggled with the real downsides of that, like the depression, the low energy, until 2004. And then obviously when you're suicidal, they don't give a shit about ADHD. They're just like, we need to get this fixed. And that's when I was diagnosed bipolar. So 2014, it would have been around about the April or May time when Leslie was pregnant with Nina. Ironically, this time, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's ironic.
How weird.
Because it's Nina's birthday next week.
Wow.
So we're away. It's Nina's birthday next week, so it would have been about the time she was born, and then obviously it got worse after she was born because life was chaotic.
Yeah.
But it wasn't actually less chaotic than now. I just didn't have the tools or the capacity or the capability to deal with it.
So what year did you start on self-development? So a lot of people will be diagnosed with mental illness and not even look at self-development. So what kind of got you into that?
Well, ironically, I actually started self-development in 2001.
Right, okay.
With first discovering Tony Robbins. In fact, randomly, in the office right outside of here right now, there is a DVD box set. And it's the very same box set that I started with. DVDs, CDs, called Get the Edge DVDs. By Tony Robbins. Well, do you know what I was thinking about yesterday? Do you know, Amy? Do you know, back in the day, you used to think we had cassettes and Walkmans, and then we upgraded to CDs. I was like, the CD Walkman was not an upgrade at all.
No.
Because you had to walk with it flat.
Yeah.
Or it would just bounce and fall out.
Yeah.
It was pointless. Anyway, there's Mr. ADHD jumping in there. Easily distracted. That's how I like to put it. Anyway, so I started in 2001 because, again, you start a business, you have to know that stuff. You're not working on yourself, your business won't grow. And actually, I think there's a downside to personal development that you get to a level where you're doing the best you can with what you know. But then when you know better, you expect yourself to do better. See, it just became, for me, it got to a point where I'm like, I know what to do. Do you know what I mean? I think ignorance is fine. Ignorance is bliss, if you like. But then I should know better than this, which actually kind of exasperates the problem for some people.
Yeah, kind of beats yourself up about it.
So I was like, there's a dark side of personal development in that if you can learn it, but if you don't do anything with it, you kind of feel, or you can feel worse about yourself. Now I'm okay with not doing everything that I know, because I know that's impossible. And I give myself permission and not execute everything, but yeah, the 2001 was when I was first exposed to it. That sounds really weird, but...
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Amazing, yeah.
2014, though, there was another side of personal development that I found, actually.
Right.
So the first side was just do it. Buckle up, knuckle down, grind it, hustle it, do what's required, which I still kind of believe in. But then I found the other side of personal development, which I would say, the way I would put it would be the gentler side of personal development.
Yeah.
The more feminine side, if you like. In particular, the lady that I found in 2015. And this was the first real step in almost forgiving myself, almost forgiving other people, almost having no regrets and all that stuff, was Byron Katie.
Yeah.
Because she has a very gentle approach. And I still remember being at a 9-day school for the work. I actually don't know anyone else that's been because it's a big commitment. 9 days in Germany. I was probably 300 people there. There was probably me and 3 other men. It was very strange. Okay. And it was mad because I had the least hairy armpits.
Really?
Germany, yeah. Not that I noticed the armpits. But it's weird. So I'd read a book, Loving What Is, which changed my life. And actually, the book didn't change my life. Doing the work that your teachers changed my life, because that just allowed me to look at everything from a completely different angle. And the book's called Loving What Is, which is basically loving what is about yourself.
Yeah.
Loving what is about things that you've done, things that other people have done. It was about finding the gift in every situation, I suppose. And the word gift is almost, I love this. Thank you for giving me that gift. Thank you to myself for giving me that gift. And I suppose that was when things started to change for me. I'm known as quite a, I don't want to use the word alpha because that's shit, quite a masculine guy, quite a no bullshit guy. But I also have that other side which actually made everything way better for me. So I haven't lost that whole hustle, grind, get after it. I still love that philosophy. But actually I believe that too much of that will force you to hate yourself because you'll randomly or ironically hate yourself for not doing things that you hate.
Yeah, that makes
Isn't that
sense.
weird?
Weird.
So I realised that actually doing things that I hate isn't always productive. Doing things I hate actually led me to a life that I didn't like that much, because I don't think there's any happy ending to an unhappy journey. I don't think you're going to live a life that you love, constantly doing things that you loathe. I think that sometimes you have to eat shit. I think it's sometimes you can't just do things that you love doing. But I believe that there has to be some of that. Like I've now built a life where I actually love the chase. I love the process. I love the challenge. I love the work. And I love the end result.
Yeah. That's the thing, isn't it? It gets you out of bed every morning.
It's quite a transformation, that, I think. And it wasn't
absolutely.
more hard stuff. I love hard stuff, but it was more understanding that it's loving what is, which is understanding there's an upside and a downside. Understanding there's a positive and a negative. Understanding that it just all goes together. It's almost synchronicity, if you like.
Yeah. And then you started working with married businessmen.
Yes.
What kind of... when was the moment when you thought, right, this is what I want to do and this is what I want to have?
I remember it very clearly. I was in a CrossFit gym in Laguna Beach, California.
Right.
And I had flown. It was actually before I got even more suicidal.
Right, okay.
It's actually before that. Not a lot of people know this. It was about September, October that year. The year that I was sick. I flew out to Laguna Beach, California to work with a guy called Garrett J. White, who runs a company called Wake Up Warrior. And I did Warrior Week. I was like the 10th person that ever did it. They've worked with hundreds of thousands of people now. People are like, oh, you're in Warrior. I was in there 2014, man.
Yeah.
And I did it. I was in a CrossFit gym, and we're probably 3 days into this thing, but I'd had a fight with a random man on the beach that I'd never met. That's part of the course. We had fights, we did the wrestling thing, we did a lot of workouts, we did a bit of meditation. But I remember one day I was in a CrossFit gym, and your job was to encourage other people to push themselves. Your job was to encourage other people to go beyond what they thought were capable of. And then Garrett was like, Paul, at the end, he was like, Paul, you need to be working with men. You need to be coaching men. This is your thing. Because at that time in my life, actually, I didn't even need to work.
Right, okay,
which is part of the problem. I didn't need to work. I had a business that ran on autopilot. I was on the verge of selling another business, so I actually didn't need to do anything. And he's like, you need it. And I didn't know anything about purpose or sense of purpose or having a mission or wandering through life or boredom. I didn't know any of that stuff then. He was like, this is what you need to be doing. And I was like, nah, I didn't want to do this. Because the challenge that I had in me was that, and this is a second challenge at it. So I started doing it. So I was like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to start it. And I suppose the advantage that I had was that I'd already built successful businesses and I already had a decent sized following because of what I'd done before.
Yeah.
So I already had kind of people that had seen my transformation at the start of the next year. They started seeing my transformation. I'd lost all that weight. I hadn't gone off the meds at that point, but I'd turned my life around, essentially.
Yeah.
I'd got a sense of myself back. And people started to come towards me And I'd worked with married businessmen. I had about 8 clients for like 18 months. Like a long time. And I was pissed off. And because you know when you know you can do more, but you just don't do it?
Yeah, yeah.
You know when you know you're capable of more, but you hold back out of fear?
Yeah.
My fear was, and because I did my first million in 2014 as well, ironically.
Wow, yeah,
The worst year of my life was also, at that point, the most successful year of my life, based on income. And I had this fear that, okay, I know how to grow this thing, but I was scared in case I built a business like what I built before, which I hated.
Yeah.
Which I wanted to burn to the ground, which made me sick. I was like, that could happen again. So
Yeah.
it wasn't that I didn't know what to do. And I used to think people don't have a fear of success, but actually I did then. I had a fear that this would blow up and I wouldn't be able to handle it. That was my belief. I won't be able to handle it. So that was a big challenge for me. A big, big challenge for me. So working with married businessmen, I thought it would be great until it wasn't.
Yeah.
But the problem wasn't the married businessman. The problem was me.
How do you get yourself out of that mindset? Because for me with success, I got a bit of that because, you know, it's like
Can't handle
Ben
it.
and Mum and you instantly go to, I want to do this. But so how do you get yourself out
I
of that?
realised that. I just started questioning it.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Because I'd learned from Byron Katie about love and what is, and one of her first questions is that true? I want to be able to handle it was the belief. And the belief was coming from old me.
Yeah.
The belief was coming from me a couple of years previously,
Yeah.
where I wasn't able to handle money. Part of the problem was that I had money. I didn't know what to do with it. I put most of it up my nose.
Yeah.
That's the truth. I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to deal with success. I didn't know how to deal with criticism. I didn't know how to deal with haters, if you like. I didn't know how to deal with being busy again. I didn't even know how to deal with being bored randomly.
Yeah.
Right? So I got over it by questioning that belief. Is that true? How do I know it's true? What if it wasn't true? What else could be true? And then I just suppose the way that you get over any belief is by questioning it, but then proving it wrong.
Yeah.
Because what happens is we don't question the belief, and then we take actions that reaffirm it.
Yeah.
So if I don't believe I can handle it, and then I don't do the work, I continue to get to believe and be right that I can't handle it. So I suppose I questioned it, and then I was like, what's the worst that could happen? And again, I was financially secure, so it kind of didn't matter if I started it and then quit. Do you know what I mean? Like people think this about jobs, like it's weird. There are jobs, a lot of them now. They're just not dream jobs. That's what people are looking for. They think they're going to fall into a dream job. It doesn't work like that. You don't fall into a dream business.
Yeah.
You have to do a lot of shit that you don't like. So I'm like, the mad part is, if you leave that job, could you get another one? If you move jobs and you hate it, could you go back to your old one? So I was just like, actually, I just started placing less importance on whether it worked, whether I did have a meltdown, because I was like, well, if it doesn't work, I'll just stop.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If
Makes
I hate it,
simple, yeah.
if I hate it, I can just stop. So it just became simple for me.
Yeah.
And then there have been points when I've wanted to burn it to the ground. There have been points where I'm like, what's the point in this? I don't need to do it. I don't want to do it. But ultimately, I suppose what I've realised is that I do best when my life is one of service.
Yeah.
When I impact people, when I serve people, when people tell me the story, when the families tell me the story, that's the shit that floats my boat the most. And obviously, I also love being well paid for it.
Yeah.
And I've got no problem, and I think that's part of people's problem as well. They don't want to admit that. I think there's something wrong with money.
Yeah.
I see money as a direct correlation at how many people I help and how good I am at helping them.
Yeah.
And if everyone else believed that, their business, their lives would be further ahead as well.
Yeah.
Think about that, Amy. We spend money on things that we value, right?
That's it. People have had an odd view of money.
They do,
Yeah.
and it's messed up. It's messed up. And I was talking about that this week. I said the word, so I was talking about past leverage, present leverage, and future leverage. So I said, how's this impacted you in the past? How's it impacting you now? And what might happen in the future? How might it impact in the future if you don't deal with it?
Yeah.
And I was like, this is like the Christmas Carol. And I said Scrooge McDuck. Instead of Ebenezer Scrooge.
Everybody knew what you meant.
I said
right?
Scrooge McDuck from DuckTales, right? And then I just went on a rant. I was like, actually, do you know the problem with Scrooge McDuck is it shows you from an early age we're conditioned that money is evil and the people that have it are evil. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? I'm like, every movie, the bad guy is a millionaire. Every millionaire in every movie is a bad guy. Even Batman, right? Bruce Wayne, there's even some kind of something where they're like, oh, well, he's got a little bit of darkness in him. He's a little bit bad. He doesn't like all that money. He hates having all that money. Do you know what I mean? It's so weird, that, isn't it? Even you think about Tony Stark, Iron Man. Guess how he's rich? Sells weapons. Of mass destruction. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, where does that... And it's really weird, but once I got that belief that actually I spend money on things that I value, on things that solve problems for me.
Yeah.
Everyone does that. We spend money on things that solves problems for us. So therefore, if you have a business or you are someone that solves other people's problems, they'll pay you money. So the better you get at solving problems and the better you get at demonstrating that you can solve problems, the more money you get paid. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
It's a win-win, that.
Yeah.
It's a win-win for it's a win-win for you, them, and the universe. Yeah, come out of that bit. I'm joking. That was a little light humour. Did I answer the question? I feel like I went around the houses.
No, you did. So, married businessmen, what do they struggle with the most?
Ooh.
Don't say everything.
Do you know what they struggle with the most, I believe, that gets them into more trouble than anything else, is they lack structure.
Yeah.
They have no structure. Their life is chaos. They lack structure. They lack rules. They lack boundaries. They lack organisation. They lack plans. They just fly by the seat of their pants. That's what I did. That's how I know. We fly by the seat of our pants. There is an element of making it up as you go along, by the way.
Yeah.
There is an element of that fumbling, stumbling through it. But a lack of structure, and the reason that's a problem, and I actually just recorded a training about it this morning. You'll get it next Friday. You'll get it next. No, you get it on Monday.
Monday, right?
Yeah, poor Connor's had to rush the edit. So I talk about how lack of structure costs you time, which is weird because you then end up chasing your tail. You then end up being disorganised, which means you're constantly catching up. Your life feels chaotic. You feel rushed all the time. That costs you energy. You have a lack of structure inside of your business, which means that you can't do your sales and marketing. You let clients down. You're late. You forget to turn up for something. Do you know what I mean? Everything's last minute and rushed. And then to make yourself feel better, all of that, what do? You self-soothe. And then call it self-sabotage.
Yeah.
So you booze, you eat shit, you gossip, you watch whatever you want to watch, and you just end up... And I believe that lack of structure is part of that reason. And I think part of the other thing that married businessmen struggle with is they've kind of given up on themselves.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, so A is lack of structure, B is they have no sense of purpose anymore. And that was me. I got to a point where I was like, business is okay, I make a lot of money, I'll settle here.
Yeah.
And settling basically means I don't have targets, I don't have a mission, I'm not moving towards anything, I don't have goals, I don't have outcomes, and when I'm not moving towards something, my focus becomes a problem. I tend to want to move away from things. I want to move away from pain. And that's where I'll self-soothe. So I think a lack of purpose is a challenge for a lot of men.
Yeah.
It's like, you think about this, and it happens to women as well. Particularly, I find that ladies that have had kids and then the kids are a little bit older and they're like, well, what now?
Yeah.
Happens to men.
Yeah.
We leave school, we go to school, the mad part is most of the successful businessmen that I know failed everything at school.
I said that yesterday.
Almost every single
yeah.
one failed everything at school. So and then they might get a job, they might meet a bird, they might get married, they might have kids, whatever. University might, again, most businessmen I know didn't go to university either. Not all of them, most of them that I work with. So, and then we start the business, and then we get the business to a certain point, and they're like, well, this is it now.
Yeah.
What now?
Yeah.
What now? And then it just becomes about, how can I build a business? How can I build a business? How can I build a business? We get caught, well, I must sacrifice more time. Not true. So I think those are the two things I struggle with the most, because when you don't have those things, you kind of just, like I say, you wander through life. You just get thrown around by circumstances, and you go around in circles, which is tiring. Your attention ends up going, because attention for me is the currency of transformation. Attention is the main thing. So what you think about is the main thing that will dictate how you feel.
Yeah.
Alongside the physical stuff, right? So your attention, if it's not on what you want, it goes on what you don't want. If it's not what you want to have happen, it goes on what you don't want to have happen.
Yeah.
If it's not on what's working, it's what's not working. If it's not on what you love, it's on what you hate. And I think that becomes a big issue for people. So the two things would be structure and a sense of purpose, direction, if you like.
Yeah.
Think about that. Most men come to me because they've kind of lost their life. They've lost themselves in growing the business.
Yeah.
They've lost themselves. Their relationships are falling apart.
Yeah.
Their body is fucked.
Yeah.
I don't know why I've struggled to swear today, because Ben's sitting over there.
Oh, he swears
it's
all
not
the
like he
time.
has it. You better not. You get grounded. You get bloody grounded. Sorry, you get fucking grounded. Sorry. But yeah, it's a, and we end up, we end up they come to me that they've sacrificed their life to grow this business. How do I know that? Because that's what I did.
Yeah.
I sacrificed friendships. I sacrificed physical health. I sacrificed mental health. I climbed up this ladder only to get to the top and think, is this it?
Yeah.
And that's most men. So we give up on ourselves. Like, it's weird. We stop setting goals. We stop setting those targets, and then we end up. The main thing that I'd say that these guys come to me where they're at right now is they're lost.
Yeah.
They're lost. They've lost themselves somewhere, and lost just means they're lacking direction.
Yeah.
And they lack direction because they don't have a destination in mind.
Yeah.
So like, if you can't have directions to nowhere, so they end up looking for directions, or they end up going around in circles. And the only thing you think about this, and I love this analogy. It's like they get in a taxi, and they know they want to go somewhere. So the taxi driver says, "Where do you want to go?" And they say, "Not here." That's the only place they know where they want to go, not where they are.
Yeah.
So they just go around in circles around the houses, and that's fucking tiring.
Yeah.
And then they'll do anything to feel better. So lost, stuck. They're stuck because they're not making decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So those two things, lost, stuck, lacking in direction, really is I think where most people are, and that's caused by lack of structure and lack of sense of purpose, or not knowing their mission anymore. They've lost sight of their vision.
Yeah.
And then, of course, your brain gets bored, and then you'll pick
You start
everything.
looking for problems.
You'll see
Yeah.
everything negative.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so
That's
it's so strange, isn't it, that like people and women do it as well.
We're not taught it though, Amy. Like, I think about this all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
should we be taught this?
Absolutely.
Like, where do you learn this? So I genuinely believe this is that everyone's trying their best with what they know. I'm like, so why don't we know this?
Yeah.
Why don't we know that? That we need targets and goals and a mission. Why don't we know that we need structure? You think about most people in school. School works for a lot of people because there is some structure.
Yeah.
I work with a lot of ex-military people, and somehow, I don't know how, I'm friends with a lot of ex-special forces. I don't know how that's happened. Like, a lot.
Right.
Mostly famous ones. It's mad how that's happened, right? Not even by design. It's just happened. And what they've done well when they leave the military is they have structure and goals.
So they carried it on.
They've carried it on.
Yeah.
They've created goals, targets, missions, right? Think about that. They've had a life of missions. And then they leave the military. They haven't got one anymore. It's why footballers struggle so much when they finish playing football. They've had structure. They're being told what to do. And then they don't have goals anymore, and they don't have structure. So those two things go hand in hand. Structure without goals, that'll feel like you're trapped.
Yeah.
Right? But structure and goals combined, where they link up together, for me, that's freedom.
Yeah.
It sounds weird that structure and freedom go hand in hand. People think they're exclusive of each other. They're not.
Absolutely.
I agree with the school thing, because I think they ought to teach mental resilience as well, because
I love that you've said that, because I don't think they should talk about mental health in school.
Yeah.
I think they're highlighting a
absolutely.
problem that kids
Yeah.
don't know about.
Yeah.
They shouldn't know it. I think we're desperate to label people. I saw a new one this morning inside of our Lions group. It was a guy he was talking about fear of rejection, which we all have, and there's now a label for that.
Is there?
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
I'll show you it. It blew. In fact, I'm going to go and get it. We'll probably end up talking about imposter syndrome at some point. Yeah, let's find this, because you'll be fascinated by this. And we'll, like I say, Connor will edit it out. Because this blew me out. I went on a rant about this in the group. It's called, so this new thing
Right.
is called, this new disorder is called rejection sensitive dysphoria.
Right.
Is obsessing about negative experiences, misreading constructive criticism, viewing minor rejections as catastrophic, social withdrawal, negative self-talk, and people-pleasing tendencies. I'm like, they seem quite normal to me. Why does it need a label?
that's a human behaviour.
It's a human behaviour and normal,
Yeah.
and I can't see, and most of that's just fear, right, which
Yeah.
is normal, right? And the problem that I have with these labels, Amy, is that I can't see how that is empowering at all.
Absolutely not.
It's not empowering, it's completely disempowering. I believe that things like that and imposter syndrome become a crutch.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I have imposter syndrome, so I can't do that. Oh, I can't even remember the name of it because I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
it's utter bullshit that. Why does it, I can see how, if putting a label on it empowers you to change and to do better and to be more and be better, I get it, but I can't see how those labels do. Ever.
I can't see.
No.
I mean, they're completely human emotions.
Yeah.
And when you can process them, then you know how to
Aye.
move on. But if you are living under a label,
Aye.
you've got an excuse. All
Yeah,
the time.
that's what I think. It becomes a crutch, a get out.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't like them. If it empowers you, great. And if you're like, oh, that's why, now I'm going to do this. But I'm like, oh, that's why? That means I don't have to do anything. That's why I don't like it.
Have you ever known anybody that's been labelled that have gone, actually, I don't
No
feel
one
related?
whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly.
It helped. Bipolar diagnosis helped me a tiny little bit. Just to be like, oh, that's why I'm so messed up. But then it can be, that's why I'm so messed up, so I'm going to keep doing it. That could have, and I've seen that, by the way.
Yeah.
I've seen that in the industry, in my industry. I've seen it with influencers. Or, I'm not going to apologise for my behaviour because that was me bipolar. No, it wasn't. It was you.
Yeah.
It was you, mate.
Yeah.
So, and again, the whole point that came about was because it was about doing a sales call.
Yeah.
And he had all that going on. And I was like, do you know why? You've never done a sales call before. You've done not enough research. You have a low skill set.
Yeah.
You've got no experience of it. I felt like that on my first sales call as well.
Yeah.
And even experienced salespeople will experience some of that before. I said, you know how you get rid of that completely? All of those, in fact, not even completely. Practice, rehearsal, repetition, upskilling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why people have people don't have imposter syndrome. They create the feelings of an imposter when they feel low skill.
Yeah.
When they haven't done enough reps, or they feel like they haven't done enough reps. I mean, that's not a bad thing. It's just, all of it's just discomfort.
Yeah.
All that is.
Yeah.
Why do we need to label discomfort? Because I believe discomfort's good.
Absolutely.
I believe that's where growth is. I think that's how you get strong. You don't get strong lifting comfortable weights.
That's it.
It's the whole neuroplasticity thing. You get better at what you repeat.
Yeah,
That's a good thing that you repeat and not a bad thing.
It is, and it's like I don't get why we need all these labels. I'm like, if all of that, every single one of those, discomfort.
Yeah.
And that's a great sign that I'm about to have some growth. That on the other side of that, I'm going to be stronger. On the other side of that, I'm going to be better. On the other side of that, I'm going to be fitter. On the other side of that, I'm going to have more skill. On the other side of that, I'm going to have more self-belief.
Yeah.
Because you get that from doing hard shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You get self-belief, you get confidence, you get even self-worth from doing hard shit.
Yeah.
And those feelings there are just feedback that you're doing hard shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a label for everything, isn't it?
I was laughing the other day. So they've come out and said that obviously Alzheimer's is a big thing for me, and a report come out the other day that picking your nose leads to Alzheimer's, and there's actually a condition.
I pick my nose all the time.
Well, you've got a disorder.
Now you're talking about it.
So there is actually a disorder to picking somebody who excessively because I was like, no.
That's mad. Now you've got me obsessed that there's snots up my nose. Honestly, I can't stop thinking about that now, yeah. See, that's attention. Where I place my attention is where I place my energy.
Exactly. So they literally, there's a label for everything. Stop picking your nose.
Now you sound like me mum. You've got that everyone's mum syndrome.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, society has gone mad with
it has, hasn't it?
And it's very
And part of me gets it, because it gives people comfort.
But does it though?
I think that's what it gives them. It gives them comfort in the moment, but then actually that leads to long-term discomfort. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Like we know this. Like if you keep choosing the comfortable option, you end up uncomfortable, and that's what I think's happen.
Yeah.
You don't exactly resolve it by not resolving it.
Yeah.
You just convince yourself you have. There's a guy I was talking to recently who has a fear of standing in front of people and talking. And I was like, and he didn't join my program because of that. I was like, so you're just going to have that forever? You're just going to be like that forever?
Right.
You're never going to talk in front of people ever?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I was like, well, that's what you're saying to me. You don't want to come to the events because you don't want to talk in front of people. Well, he does want to, but he says he can't. He gets anxious. But well, that's going to keep happening until you fucking address it, mate. So what are you going to never talk? What about when you get married? You're just not going to talk?
Yeah.
Come on, man. What about when you walk your daughter down the aisle? You're not going to talk. What about when it's someone's christening or you're just not going to say anything? That's the truth.
Yeah.
So he's labelled himself as something, and I'm like, by avoiding the discomfort of handling it, you're going to feel comfortable in the moment of not doing it, but then eventually it's going to lead to way more discomfort.
Do you know, I was going to ask you about that because, you know, you'll speak to a lot of people where they're not happy in their life. They'll know what they need to do, but they continue not to do it. What is going on there?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Because I love talking about this.
Yeah.
The only reason they wouldn't do it is because they value certainty so much.
Yeah.
So they value, you think about, and I've worked with a lot of people who hate their lives and do nothing.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
And I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it until
Yeah.
until I do. So I got it when I realised, and I learned this from Dr. Joe, I think. It's not even his thing, this. But someone they're basically addicted to comfort at some level. They're addicted to certainty, familiarity. It's familiar to them. It's known. It's predictable. And that's it. So it's predictable, it's certain, it's familiar, and it's known. Think about that. At least they know how shit it is there.
Yeah.
They don't know about the other bit. Because change requires you to step into that uncertainty.
So seen as a loss.
Yeah. Change requires you to be uncertain. It requires you to do something unfamiliar, which is scary. It requires you to do something that's unpredictable, and it requires you to step into the unknown. And that's more scary for some people than staying the same.
Odd, isn't it?
It is. So staying the same, even though they hate it, it's why people stay in jobs that they hate. It's certain, it's familiar, it's predictable. It's why they stay in marriages, relationships that they hate, because it's familiar. At least it's familiar. At least I know he's going to give me shit when he gets home. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least I know that. Whereas change is unfamiliar, unpredictable, unknown, uncertain, and that's too scary for some people.
Yeah, it's even like people that will order the same thing off a menu.
Yes.
All the time, instead of going, I'm going to try something new.
Yes.
Like,
It's familiar. It's known.
That's small.
Yeah.
So the big
And
things are
it's-
even scarier.
And it's, and you're right, and it's mad because some people live their entire life like that.
Yeah.
I'm not, and I get it, but I think, particularly because I work with business owners, I know this. I can't remember who said, I think it's a Robin saying probably, like, the success you have in your life and your business will be directly correlated to the amount of certainty. Uncertainty you can comfortably handle, which is a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
The amount of uncertainty you can comfortably, because business isn't certain at all.
Yeah.
But I was having a conversation with a lady yesterday in a circle call who's just lost their job. She's like, she was saying, I want to start a business, but I want like the safety of a job. I'm like, well, hang on. You've just found out. You've just found out, yeah. You've just found out there's no certainty or safety or what else do we call it? What else is it called now? We'll take there's a word that people in jobs like to use. What is it? It's something like that. The safety, the familiarity, all of that kind of security. That's it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you've just found out there's no job security. For me, I truly believe that a business gives you the most security because you're in charge.
Yeah.
You're responsible. But also, that's the worst part about running a business. It's your thing. So my favourite part about running a business is that I'm in control. I'm in charge. My least favourite part of running a business is I'm in charge.
Yeah.
My least favourite part about running a business is that I'm responsible for my own income and other people's. But my most favourite part of my business is that I'm responsible for my income and other people's.
Yeah,
so it's like,
the positive and the
it
negative.
is. There's not one without the other.
But you get that with everything in life, isn't it?
It's not. It's like if I do, my favourite part about putting videos out there is that people see them.
Yeah.
My least favourite part about putting videos out there is that people see them.
To see them.
Because I know that some people are going to praise me and some people are going to hate me.
Yeah.
But once I accept, and that's probably that's why I don't pick a fight with it anymore. I love a little welcome to the show. You know that.
Oh, I love them posts.
I love
have
them
to
posts.
drop a sarky comment.
I love it. I love a little welcome to the show. But I wouldn't have, in the past, I would have fought with that. Or I would have deleted and blocked them.
Yeah.
And that was when I was hardcore Paul.
Yeah.
I still have that in me, obviously. But now that I'm going to say accepting Paul.
Yeah.
I can accept things now. I'm not going to pick a fight with it. There's no point. It's tiring. Since I've accepted it, things have completely changed for me. Since I became softer, if you like, my life's changed dramatically because I'm now no longer picking fights with everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I pick fights with things that I can change.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And my life's much simpler, easier, which sounds weird. I do harder things, but everything's easier. Because I'm not fighting things I can't control. I'm not trying to control uncontrollables anymore. The old me was trying to control everything and everyone.
I think so.
Imagine trying to be a coach and thinking you can change someone.
Yeah, well,
You can't.
that's it.
I used to think I can. It was exhausting.
So
I
did you
used
used
to
to
think I
get
could
upset when somebody had like a
I'd be
blip
furious.
and then,
I'd be furious when they didn't submit a return report.
Yeah.
And I still have a little rant. You know, I love a little rant when I'm tired in particular. But imagine you can't build a business like mine. You can't have a team like mine thinking you can change everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can only provide the tools. Like, I see people in relationships and I'm like, why would she change when you're not willing to? Trying to change her is exhausting. Why don't you just change the way you think about her? Why don't you just change the way you're looking at downsides? Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's it. And people look.
People are trying
outwards.
to change the world. They're trying to change the world, which is admirable, but it's also fucking exhausting and impossible.
Yeah, absolutely, because we can't be responsible for the people's things. And I was about to say, everybody looks outwards rather than looking inwards. I've found as well.
Oh, they do.
Yeah,
they do. That's probably what I just said, but I'm scared to say shit like that.
Oh, just say it.
But it makes sense.
Yeah.
They're trying to change everything out here, but in here looks the same.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting quote. This it might have been Peter Sage who said it. He said something like, "If there is an in here world and an out there world, which one's most real?"
Yeah.
Because everyone knows there's an inner world, there's an inner world,
yeah.
and there's an outer world, but which one's most real? It's so weird, isn't it?
That's so weird.
It's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I still haven't answered it.
I was about to say what
I
is
don't know
your
whether there's a
answer?
right or a wrong, but I don't know.
Right, okay.
Because if you think about it, this is the one that impacts me the most, but then that impacts me. But does that impact me? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's one of those questions that I don't think I'll ever be able to answer. And I think the right answer is probably the inner world, but I'm not fully understanding of that yet, which is also quite exciting.
Yeah, you're going to have to let me know when
Yeah,
you like that.
I'm very open-minded on that kind of shit. Yeah.
I often get, because obviously a lot of people have followed my journey and seen me with you for 4 years, and like I say, you've given me all the techniques and everything like that.
Yeah.
I regularly get comments from people saying, well, I want to up my life, but that looks like you're doing hard work. Like they see it as all the techniques and everything are time consuming. It's like journaling.
Yeah.
You know, if I say journaling to somebody, they'll be like, well, I haven't got time for that.
Oh.
Then I'm going to have to make that into a routine.
By the way, without them even knowing how long it takes.
Exactly.
You haven't got time for that. That indicates that you know how long it takes. Out of interest, how long do you think it takes?
Yeah.
It takes me 10 minutes.
But do you often think that somebody who's like struggling looks at people that are doing well, especially in the self-development world, and think, oh my, that's just way too out of my depth. There's too much involved.
All the time. All the
It's
time.
very
And again,
hard.
it's sometimes not that. It's just sometimes that. You think about that. If they're saying they haven't got time for journaling and they don't know how much time it is, what's that? It's uncertain. It's unpredictable.
Yeah, it's, like
It's unknown.
Yeah.
It's unknown. It's unknown. You're guessing the time. If I said, have you got 10 minutes? They'd be like, maybe. I'd be like, okay, well, what are you doing in them 10 minutes in the morning? Looking at my phone. All right, so you're full of shit then.
Yeah.
So have you got time? Yes or no? Okay, I have. So it's almost challenging that, it's almost challenging the guessing that they're doing. That's what overthinking is. Overthinking's guessing. It's guessing.
yeah.
And well, again, if we can take the guesswork, I'll just fucking go with it and try. Anyone that tells me they haven't got time, also, what do they not have? Structure. They just feel busy. Their life feels chaotic. Their life feels busy. Their life feels like they're in a rush all the time.
Yeah.
And the feelings aren't that reliable.
Yeah.
Show me a schedule, and I'll show you. You can show me where you're busy.
Yeah.
99.9 times out of 100, no schedule. Flying by the seat of their pants.
Yeah.
Which is always stressful.
It is. What is your view? I ask this to everybody because it's a big thing, especially in my group. People worry about it. It's like peer groups. Because self-development, I believe another kind of downside is self-development is it can be a lonely journey.
Yeah, of course it can.
Because you can pretty much guarantee that nobody in your close circle or your family is into self-development. So how do you
And they're not only not into it, they seem dead against it.
Yeah, and if you say something...
So it's not like they're just not into it, they're just not doing it. They also will attack you doing it.
Yeah, and I'll often get, if I can just, like, I'm not trying to coach them or anything, but I'll just drop a sentence and instantly they go, but I'm all right with my life, not doing anything. It's like like I'm the bad one in there.
Yeah. Still doing that meditation shite, are you?
Yeah,
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, what are you chilling for?
Still off the booze, are you?
Yeah.
Still off the booze, are you, big K?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and it's like, even though people have seen me improve, they'll instantly...
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? Because we do become our environment.
So I think there's I don't think there's anything to deal with. If you try and deal with it, it'll make it worse because they'll feel like you're attacking them.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I'm done with trying to come... You think about personal development is taking you to some kind of destination or mile marker. Like, I don't think there's any end. Like, I don't think there's a finish line. I think we just have these series of mile markers along the way, these series of stop-offs along the way, which you would call goals, right? It's like the horizon. It'll keep moving. And I'm okay with that. I think I accept that as well. I love that, actually. Because the horizon will move, it'll change. Nothing's certain, nothing's definite. Like, I'm okay with that. The only thing definite is I'm going to die. At some point. Leslie hates what I talk about. I've chosen my funeral song and everything, man.
Oh, no.
I've done all the thing. I've decided what I want people to wear. It's not that I'm just like, well, I'm going to die. What's the point in lying about
What
it?
song have you picked?
I've picked, the first song I want is called The Dance of the Nights, which they play just as the Sunderland players are in the tunnel, ready to play. It's like a classical music song.
He's laughing.
It goes do 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 do. It's like there's no singing on it or anything. Anyway, and then I'll have high hopes, obviously. On there.
You've got to have that.
High hopes. But what'll happen is we try and, let's just say we're going to a destination, we try and convince people that don't want to go there to come on the bus with us.
Right, okay, yeah.
All that
makes
does
sense.
is slows us down.
Yeah.
We're looking backwards while we're trying to move forwards. So I'm just like okay with people not being on the bus.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to go there.
Yeah.
If they wanted to go there, they can come on the bus with me. Oh, I'm going there. Do you want to come? No. Okay, cool. I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm going. I don't have to convince you to come. I don't have to convince you I'm doing the right thing. Just do it. Right? Now, what'll help is, can you find the bus where all the other people are on?
Yeah.
Where's that? Where's that bus? Who wants to come on the bus with me? Or who's already the destination that can give me the directions?
Yeah.
Because I think part of the problem that we do is not only do we try and convince people to get on the bus with us, we ask them for directions to somewhere where they've never been.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think of this? I've asked my mum about this business idea, Paul. I'm like, how many businesses your mum ran? None. She worked in Asda for 30 years. Why the fuck are you asking her then?
Yeah.
Because we want permission. Part of us wants permission. And it makes sense that we want to be supported. We want to be praised. That's all we're trying to do when we're trying to convince them. We want support. We want praise. We want guidance. We want affirmation. We want permission. We want...
It's like confirmation we want.
That's what we want. Yes, we want all of that. We want all of that.
Yeah.
But we're looking in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we can get that from ourselves, but of course it helps to find a peer group that's on the same route, because there's this thing, they call it the law of conformity. And that just means we'll do what it takes to fit in.
Yeah.
Anybody that says otherwise is full of shit, by the way.
Yeah.
We do what it takes to fit in. So what that means is, I believe we either raise our standards to fit in or lower them.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, we'll lower them. We'll do things we don't want to do just to get the approval of people. That's the word I was looking for. We want approval.
Yeah.
We'll do things we don't want to do to get approval. We'll drink when we don't want to drink. That's what people call it, peer pressure. I'm like, fucking hell, I left that at school.
Yeah.
But actually, peer pressure can be useful. The
Yeah,
problem is the
absolutely.
peers.
Yeah, exactly.
The problem is the peers.
Yeah.
If the peers are trying to get you to lower their standards, it's the wrong group. If the peers are getting you to raise your standards, and here's what's great about both of those things, right? They give enough of a shit about you to hold you accountable. Even those people that are trying to lower you, they care about you.
Yeah.
But they're trying to get you to do what they do. So they're trying to get you to lower your standards. I'm like, if I can find a peer group that cares enough about me to call me out when I'm not meeting their standards, that's powerful, right? They care about you. And I think for men in particular, I've never been a woman, so I don't know. But for men in particular, I think that's really powerful. Is it powerful for women? It must be.
Definitely. I mean, I've been with you for 4 years. So I did have 6 months off when Ben was having his op.
Yeah.
And it was the accountability that was one of the top things that I missed.
Where are you at?
Yeah,
Where are you?
like what you're doing.
Yeah.
Have you done what you said you were going to do?
Yeah.
Because it's like a fear of letting somebody else
You know as well,
down.
Amy, sometimes as well, you know what you said there was interesting. Sometimes you don't even need people to say things. When you're a man, when you're a certain type of man, I'm going, well, I'm not being the guy that hasn't done the work. Even if they don't ask, I want to tell them that I've done it. It's this need for approval that we all have.
Yeah.
And someone like me, I probably didn't get enough attention as a kid. I didn't really get approval from anybody when I was a kid. Not my parents, bless them, they love me.
Yeah.
We don't know about that. Didn't get any approval from my parents. Never got approval at school. Never got approval at anything. So I'm still making up for it now. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it.
I think we all need.
We all need some level of approval.
Yeah.
I feel like I need more than most other people, and I have to work it on myself. We have to give ourselves approval as well.
Yeah.
That's the other reason I love journaling.
Yeah, and it's like tracking those wins.
I love seeing those wins, man. That's why I'm always asking, what were your biggest wins? Tell me, tell everyone.
Yeah.
Because we don't get the opportunity to share wins and progress anywhere else without getting shot down for it, without feeling like we're bragging. I'm like, this is a safe space. I hate saying that, by the way. No, this is not even a safe space. This is an electric space for you to share what's working for you.
Yeah.
And if you're scared of it, you're thinking too much of yourself.
Yeah, and that's absolutely...
Think about you sharing those wins could inspire somebody else to change. Never mind the people that might try and drag you down or might try and go after you to make themselves feel better. I'm like, for every one person that gets triggered by me sharing a win, there's 100 who'll be inspired by it.
Yeah.
Do you know? There's 100.
Yeah.
So when I'm like, hey, I've just signed this book deal, there'll be someone that says, big head, they signed another book deal you can't even write. Your last one was shite. But I'm like, there's 100 people that might be inspired to write a book.
Yeah.
There might be 100 people that get inspired to share their story, which will inspire another 100 people. So I'm like, do you know what I mean? I'm like sharing those victories is important, sharing those wins is important, not just for you, but for everyone else as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that will, honestly, there's nothing, I don't find anything more electrifying. I probably do find things more electrifying. That'd be an overstatement, because I love football and celebrating goals is electric and celebrating a knockout electric and all that kind of shit. But being around people that are excited about the future is intoxicating.
It really is.
It's intoxicating.
Yeah. And it drives you to do better.
If you're not around people that are excited about the future, you're either you're around people that are complaining about the past.
That's so true.
Yeah. Or complaining about somebody else's past. or complain about other people, or sometimes complain about what they believe is in the future.
Yeah.
But like, if I'm not around people that are excited about the future, I'm excited about people that complain about the past.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, that's it. That's so true.
And the problem is, Amy, though, people expect these peer groups to fucking turn up at their door.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where do I find these peer group? Get off your fucking arse, mate.
You've got to
And
know.
sometimes you might not find an in-person peer group. For me, when I first started, I had to travel to California 4 times a year.
Yeah.
And if I couldn't do that, I had to do an online version, which wasn't ideal.
Yeah.
But it's better than me surrounded by pissheads who gamble all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to make an effort.
You have to. You have to
Yeah,
make an
yeah.
effort. You might have to travel. And guess what? You might have to pay for it.
Yeah.
You might have to allocate the money that you spend on something else and invest it into something else.
Yeah.
Into invest it into finding a peer group. Because sometimes you have to pay to play. Sometimes you need to put skin in the game. Particularly around the bigger ballers, you're going to have to pay.
Yeah.
You're going to have to pay because you're demanding their time, you're demanding their energy, and they know the power of a peer group. So sometimes the cost of entry to get into the peer group will either be money or sweat.
Yeah.
Sweat is effort. Sweat is going to that event. Sweat is doing more than sending a fucking DM to someone.
Yeah.
I was saying this the other day, I'm like, the people are just lazy these days.
Oh.
Go to the event.
Yeah.
Go to the workshop. Go to that, knock on that door. Turn up at their office. Because they can't ignore that.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can't ignore that. The amount of things that I've went to where I'm like, oh, this is a bit of a trek, it's a bit of a fuck on. But if you're not in the room, you don't get the opportunity. I remember a while ago I was invited to the HarperCollins summer party, the authors party, and I didn't want to go. It was in London. It was on like a Tuesday night. I was off the booze and I knew people would be drinking. And I was like, there might not be anything in this for me. I wasn't getting paid. There was no podcast interview. I didn't have anything else organised. And I was like, fucking, I'm going to go. And I met some very cool authors that have since introduced me to other people that I've got on the podcast. People like Haskell, people like Russell Kane. He's my mate and I'm going on holiday with him next week. Do you know what I mean? Like that'll be mad. He reckons he's going on the leap of faith.
I think he is,
see.
yeah.
We'll see. You have to do what he said he would. But like I met people like that through that party that I didn't want to go to where there could have been nothing in it for me.
But it's dealing with
And I had to go to London.
Again,
it is.
Yeah.
And guess what? I haven't told this story, I don't think. So I knew Smith was going to be there. And I knew Lucy Lord was going to be there, right? These are my two friends, James Smith, Lucy Lord. And I knew my agent was going to be there. But for the first hour, they weren't there. And I rang Leslie. I said, I shouldn't be here. I got imposter syndrome.
Oh,
I just didn't.
Yeah.
That's what people would call it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't feel like I belonged there. I had this self-doubt. I felt like a fraud. I was like, what am I doing here? It was like a black tie do. It was in the summer. There was champagne. There was posh people. And I was like completely out of my depth. And then my agent turned up and he was pissed. And he was like, what are you fucking talking about? Stop being a wimp. If you weren't supposed to be here, you wouldn't be here. Like, he just challenged me with a fact. If you weren't supposed to be here, you wouldn't have been invited, mate.
Yeah.
And he was pissed and he was going at me. He was, and I was like, oh, I needed that reminder. I am human. I do get these feelings that everyone else gets. And Leslie was like, just stay. Go on, stay another time. I was like, no, I'm coming home. I'm coming home and leaving. I don't want to be here. I was being a big baby, really. I was. But I was dealing with it the best I could. And my agent, because he was pissed, just told me straight, you were invited here for a reason. They wanted you here. He told me about someone that didn't invite. I was like, holy shit, they didn't invite her. Yeah. She's got millions of followers and she sold loads of books. And I was like, they didn't invite her. She was like, oh, they didn't invite her, Paul. They love you here. And I was like, holy shit. Yeah. And then he got thrown out.
No.
And it was like the Royal Albert Hall or something. It was at some really posh place, and it was like a garden party. It's like a garden party with fountains and nice lights and canapes and that. Oh my god! And he shouted that at the top of his voice. I was like, I'm fine actually.
I'm good, mate.
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm not just good for the cocaine. I'm like, oh, actually, yeah, I should be here. It's him that shouldn't.
Oh my god! When was that?
That was probably 2020. Lockdown-ish.
Yeah.
21 it was. 2021, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Isn't that wild? So I felt all those feelings.
Yeah.
And
What
all
the
those
real
feelings will be
feeling?
like, oh, I feel like a fraud, I feel like an imposter. I was just really uncomfortable. And I felt out with my depth. I wasn't, I was just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then it took someone to give me a harsh, and that's an example of peer group.
Yeah.
Going there, met some people. How do you think I met Smith and Lucy? I went to events. I went to things. That's how I met the agent. I went to watch Smith live, even though I knew what he was going to say.
Yeah.
I'd never met the agent before. I knew what he was going to say. I knew what he was going to talk about. I already knew him. I went to the show. I didn't need to. I went there to support him. I met the agent. The agent was like, Paul, I'd love to work with you. I'd self-published a book by then. He said, if you want to stop pissing around with these, told me straight. If you want to stop pissing around with these self-published books, just let me know. And that year we did a book deal.
Yeah.
And that opened up a whole new world for me.
And it's one of those things as well. You felt those emotions.
I did it anyway.
You did it anyway, and that's where confidence grows.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I didn't feel confident, but I did it anyway.
Yeah. So the next time that
I didn't believe in myself,
Yeah.
but I did it anyway.
Yeah.
Because what's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah.
And I think part of this is because I've been rock bottom, I think it helps. Because I'm
Yes.
like, how bad is it going to get? I wanted to kill myself a few years ago.
Yeah. Do you know why I often hear people say that? It's never going to be as bad as that.
Nah.
So it's like when I go out...
I'm not going to die of
yeah.
embarrassment.
Yeah.
That's not a thing. It's just a saying.
That's it. I mean,
I almost died of embarrassment, but did you?
Yeah. It's very strange because a lot of people say that, and I can refer back to that. It's like if I do anything new and it's like, oh, I'm not really shitting myself here.
Yes.
I just think back when Bernard is up and had that 10-hour wait.
Yeah.
I'll never be as scared as I was then. So whatever I'm doing now, just ring that person. They can only say no.
Exactly. They're not going to kill you.
You're not going to kill me.
No,
Yeah.
You're not going to die of it. And it's such an interesting thing. And funny enough, I was saying that, like, this is a really weird thing. But when I did the year no booze, I don't know if I've mentioned that. I get so much shit for that. It's so weird. Why would you give me shit for doing something that makes me feel like shit? Like for stopping doing something. I get shit for not doing something that makes me feel terrible. It's so weird that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, so when I did that, one of the biggest insights that I got was thinking, and this is mad, if I can take a year off a thing that I used to love doing, that did have some upsides, that everybody does, that everyone's trying to convince me to do, that people think there's something wrong with me because I'm not doing it, and I have to keep justifying. If I can do that, actually, what else can I do here?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I feel like that. I felt like that about fighting. If I can get in the ring with that guy, what else can I do?
Yeah.
It's never going to be as bad as that. Like if I can jump out of a plane, like that's why I like doing hard shit. Because every time I do hard stuff, I get more belief, I get more self-worth, I get more confidence. And even if I do the hard thing and it doesn't work, I'm like, well, I still tried it.
And that's it. Yeah.
I still tried it. I've still got no regrets. At least I tried. At least I went in. Maybe even if I gave up, at least I tried. At least I got started. That's my whole frame on it now. I'm constantly. When I was you came in, I was writing an email about me doing stand-up comedy. I've got a stand-up comedy gig on the 11th of June.
Oh yeah.
And everyone's like, it's even in the set. Why am I nervous? I'm like, I'm nervous now. I've spoken all over the world in front of thousands of people. I've filled theatres. I've spoken in jails where they were giving me the same look as you're giving me right now. That's part of the joke, right? But I'm nervous because there's an expectation. When I'm a motivational speaker, I'm doing me talks, and I get a laugh. It's a bonus.
Yeah.
The people in the crowd, they're always telling jokes, bonus. Yeah. But when they're there just to hear me tell jokes, that's a different level of pressure. I'm shitting myself. But I'm doing it because it's hard.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. It's not easy. It should be easy, but it's not.
It's not. I think comedians have got a really tough job.
They have, especially when they get hecklers.
Yeah.
I went to see me friend Dapper Laughs did a show in Whitley Bay, and Dapper had a lot of hecklers in there.
Really?
Like you attracts quite a lot of piss heads. Because that's what he used to be about. So and he had to deal with hecklers. One of them, he said he'd see them outside, and that was a mad. Russell Kane doesn't really get them.
Right.
But yeah, they do have a hard job because people are there expecting them to be funny.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Got it in June.
Motivating people's easy. Yeah, I've got it in June. I feel here's the mad part. There's been 5 weeks. I've only been able to get to 2 of them. Yeah, but I'm rehearsed. I've got the script. I tested the jokes the other day, and that's how I seen it. I was nervous. There was 20 people there in the rehearsal. I got when I tested them, and all I was like, well, they didn't laugh at that. That means it's not funny. So what do I do now? I take it out.
How many people are going to be there on the night?
A couple hundred probably. That's fine. It's fine. It will be fine, but I'll still be nervous.
Yeah.
But part of me is like, I know that I'm going to be nervous, and I know that it's good.
Yeah.
So I just frame nerves. I even frame anxiety. I frame nerves. I frame worry differently now. I mean, of course I'm nervous. I'm about to do something I've never done. Same as I was saying before.
Yeah.
I'm about to do something I've never done. There's pressure, and I heard this from a footballer. Pressure is a privilege because it means something's expected of you.
Yeah.
And I love that. Even if it's expectations of myself. Like, I love that. I'm like, it is a pressure. It is a privilege to have pressure because it means people are expecting me to be funny. That's good.
Yeah.
And of course I'm going to be nervous. That's good. That's my body giving me the energy that I need to put on a show.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And make people laugh. Part of my thing will be, people will be like, well, this guy's energy is... It's part of Russell's whole thing. Russell's whole thing is his energy's off the chain. People are like, my dad had never been to stand-up. And last Saturday, Kath's son was sick, so I said to my dad, do you want to come and see my friend Russell? He met him before the gig and that, and he said at the end, he said, Paul, that was brilliant. He said, your mate's a bit fucking mental, isn't he? I was like, that's why he's me mate.
You attract what you're like.
We mirror each other's energy. We mirror each other's energy and actually sick sense of humour. Very similar, yeah.
Yeah, do you know what? That's so important, though. Doing things that you wouldn't normally do, that you possibly,
could fall flat on its arse.
Yeah, it's not like one of them things like, I'm really up for this, really wanted to do it, always wanted to do it, it's not going to go wrong.
Yeah, I'm already good at the thing.
Yeah. It's so good to do new things. There's a quote from my brain coach that says, the brain awakens in the new. It's so good for your brain just to have novelty.
Well, on the coaching thing, I say, we were talking about why people don't get results when you coach them. I'm like, because you're giving them new actions, but they're trying to do the new actions with the same old thoughts.
Yeah.
So that often they won't do the new action. But I'm like, on the other side of that new action is a new experience. And that's when you get the new thought.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Doing new things will give you a new thought. You're right, it's so good for the brain because
really good,
the same old actions get the same old feelings, the same old experience, the same old thoughts. So when I do, and that's what I say about energy as well.
Yeah.
It's not always about rest, doesn't always equal more energy. No. You renew your energy by doing new shit, new goals, new books, new TV shows, new workout routines, new variations of the way you come into the office, for example, like new cars, new stuff. Absolutely. And that renews energy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting thing that, like, and I love that you said that about new stuff and open up these new pathways in the brain by trying new things.
Yeah.
I think the problem is how you frame it if it doesn't work out for you. Just because you fail doesn't mean you're a failure.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's that thing where at least I've tried.
I have a very comfortable relationship with failure. Very comfortable. You have to.
You do.
Particularly as a business owner.
Yeah.
Particularly, have a very comfortable relationship with getting rejected. Have a very comfortable relationship with failure. I've failed more times than most people have even tried.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd say I've failed 100 times more than most people have tried.
Yeah.
I'm alright with it.
And that's it, isn't it? It's been all right with uncertainty. It's been all right with failure. So you're not going to be diagnosed with the new thing.
So diagnosed who by the way? The post is like, has anybody else got this? I'm like, where did you get it? Where did you catch it? Who did you catch it off?
You watch now. We'll have loads of people commenting. I've got this.
What cream do you use for it? What tablets are you taking? Which doctor diagnosed you with it? Shut up, man.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Right, so for the rest of the year, what other things have you got coming? I've read your Facebook post earlier about HarperCollins.
Yes, HarperCollins. So we have.
Birmingham.
Birmingham's on the agenda, I think.
Yeah.
I'm now thinking I might not even do Newcastle. I've done it.
Yeah,
I've done it, so I'm thinking Birmingham, Manchester, Edinburgh, and possibly London, or I might even do South Shields. We've got a small theatre here.
Yeah.
So my problem is sometimes that my profile isn't big enough to sell out full theatres.
Right.
So I'm thinking if I do a small theatre and South Shields, sell it out, and then people might... Anyway, we'll see. So that tour is part of the new book that I've got coming out in January 2025. It's ready. It's been ready since March, April time.
What's in this one?
Well, I want to call it Unfuckwithable.
Right, okay.
And this book is like... It's like daily mind vitamins.
Nice.
So it's a little story, it's a little lesson, it's not just theory, it's a story, a lesson, and then something to do. So a little journal prompt, a little question answer, a little thing to do, because I'm big on that. And it's designed so that you can read a section a day. A little bit like the Daily Stoic, but less fucking miserable.
Yeah.
Less miserable, boring. So I've made it like that. I want to call it Unfuckwithable, but HarperCollins aren't too sure, because they said that when a few people read it, when you just see the word, it looks like it says unfuckable.
Right.
Okay. No one wants to be unfuckable.
Good point.
So I want to call it that, but I actually said to them, I said, listen, I'm not precious over the title. All I'm bothered about is my name is on the front, and it's in W.H. Smith and Newcastle Airport. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
And obviously I want to get into loads of people's hands. So we'll come up with a name. I was ready to launch it quick, but they needed to do a full edit on it. And then January is a great time to launch a new year, new me vibe. So the tour, I don't know. That'll definitely happen. We'll probably do a few shop signings as well, store signings, which is terrifying because no one might turn up. So we'll do a few, we'll go to a few Waterstones and W.H. Smith that stock it, and sign a few books there. That'll be cool. So that's actually sort of next year really. What else have I got happening? I want to have a fight, a boxing match.
Oh yeah, who is it against? I was trying to tell.
I want to fight someone who's a YouTuber. Do you know King Kenny? YouTuber. So I want to fight the guy that's just fought him, just because he's the same age as me, similar sort of weight. And I'd spark him clean out. Brooksy, if you're watching, let's fucking go. Stop avoiding me. Stop saying you'll fight the weight class down. I'll come the weight class down if you want. But yeah, you can only run for so long. But I'll fight anyone that's... The age would be a problem for me because I'm older. You lose athleticism. You lose quite a lot of that stuff, and I'm not going to deny that. I'll fight anyone over 30, and I want to do that because I love boxing. I haven't done it for so long, and to be fair, I decided to do boxing. I think when I'd torn my pec or my hamstring, I had an injury, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm going to box." If I can't do that, which is looking less and less likely that I'm going to be able to do it, I'll probably shoot for my jiu-jitsu purple belt. I'm looking to impact more married businessmen, so I'm going to do something that I haven't done for years, which is a public full day or 2 day seminar. So my events for years now have been members only. So I'm going to do a 2-day boot camp where I teach everything I know about business.
Yeah.
Because I haven't shared the business stuff for such a long time now, and people are loving it. So that's that. What else have I got going on? I want to travel. I love traveling with my family. I want to go to football matches all over the world. What else have I got? There's just so much going on, man. There's a lot happening, a lot of goals, a lot of stuff with the kids happening. I've got wild camping coming up soon with my daughter. Yeah, I've got a lot of big targets for the rest of the year. Mostly involve things that I value highest, which is football, combat sports, business, traveling with my family.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and we'll see what brings, but we'll see what the future brings. But we'll be going after all of those things.
I love that.
With vigour. With vigour, yeah. I can't. Do you know what? Haven't even decided what some of the Q3 goals are yet. Because I'm still in Q2. I try not to think too far ahead.
Yeah.
So I'm in Q2. I've got a rough idea of what some of Q3, Q4's goals are, but they're all exciting and they're all based on my highest values.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I've got one last question for you. So I do ask this to everybody. This is Javino's fault because he asked this. So when I did my first podcast...
Your first podcast with Javino?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and the first question I asked him was this, and it kind of threw him.
Yeah.
Tell me 3 good things about yourself.
I am able to impact people with my energy alone.
Yeah.
I am committed to improving my life, not just for me, but for other people too. Number 3, I believe I'm a world-class dad.
Right. I am going to ask you one more, actually. Have you got any regrets?
None whatsoever.
I love that.
I've done a lot of fucked up shit as well. I've made mistakes. I have hurt people. I've hurt myself. I've hurt my wife. I've done things I'm not proud of, but that doesn't mean I regret them because everything that I did, I can see have downsides for me and other people, but I can also see the upsides. And ultimately, I'm very proud and appreciative of where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And the impact that I'm able to have on people and the people that we've helped and the way my kids are being, the way my kids are developing and they're amazing fucking humans, my relationship with my wife, my relationship with other people. And without those things, I wouldn't be here now. Like, that's all just been on the way.
Yeah.
Like,
Journey.
even though I'll say that might have been a mistake, but actually, how can it be a mistake if I can see the upside? It can't be.
Yeah.
So it's all part of my journey. So no regrets whatsoever. There is one thing I think about sometimes, which is some things I was like, oh, I wish I'd started that a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
I wish I'd started jiu-jitsu earlier. I wish I'd started this business earlier. I wish I'd started meditating earlier. But the reality is, there's no point in that because I started it at the perfect time.
Yeah.
Why was it the perfect time? Because that's when I started it. Anything else will be picking a fight with reality. What's the point of having regrets about something I can't change?
Yeah.
I can't change my past, so I'm not going to obsess over it.
I love that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me on. I've had a great time. I've had a great time. Do you know what? I've had a hard week this week, Amy. Very hard week this week. Difficult, challenging, tiring, because I'm going away tomorrow and because we've had events and courses and doing all the normal shit that I do. Also, I had to take a week off training, which I fucking hated, by the way.
Yeah.
You're like, you need to... Both me PT was like, well, I'm not training you this week. I'm not training you this week. Me physio, they're like partners in crime. They're like, don't let Paul train this week. Don't train this week. You need a week off because me nervous system's a bit fucked up from Everest and no time off from training. Anyway, I've had a hard week and you've just capped it off wonderfully well. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for being my coach for the last 4 years.
Thank you for allowing me to coach you. It's a fucking absolute pleasure. We're killing it, and
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what you do next.
Oh, thank you.
Wonderful. Hey! Hey, Evie Porter, come on.